Kumusta mga kabuhat? Salamat at napadaan ka sa channel ko. Kung gustuhan mo ang video ito, please subscribe, like, pindutin mo na rin ang notification bell para ma-update ka sa mga bago kong video. So, alam mo ba mga kabuhat, ang taong kulang sa benepisyo ng ehersisyo mas mabilis mahawa sa anumang sakit, lalong-lalo na sa virus COVID-19. Ayon sa pag-aaral ng British Journal of Sport Medicine, karamihan sa mga tinatamaan ay ang mga matanda at senior na kulang sa physical activities. Ikaw, kabuhat, ano ba ang ginagawa mo para maging physically fit at makaiwas sa COVID-19? So kung kulang ka sa ideya, so tara, samahan mo ako.
Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome to another total body workout. Today we are hitting a lot of cardio intensive exercises, so make sure you have your water handy and you are taking advantage of your rest breaks. If you guys are ready, let's jump into it. Alright you guys, we are going to start with 60 seconds of jumping jacks. So if you guys are ready, we'll get started in 3, 2, and go. Alright you guys, as you can tell, we are jumping right into these jumping jacks here, and this is just a traditional jumping jack movement. So I am jumping my arms and my legs away from my body at the same time and then bringing them all back together in the center. Now this is a high intensity exercise that will get your heart rate up, so if you need a modification, you can certainly jump into more of a step out with your legs. I will show you that modification coming up here soon. So here's that modification there. You are getting still a little bit of that cardio with a little bouncing movement, but you are getting rid of the high impact from the jump, so this should not bother your knees or your back. We are completing this exercise for 60 seconds, and we've only got about 10 seconds left, so go ahead and get in your last few reps, and we will be switching to our next exercise in 3, 2, and rest. Okay. All right, guys, up next, we've got some crisscross mountain climbers, and we'll be doing this exercise for a total of 30 seconds. All right, here we go. Alright you guys, jumping into our crisscross mountain climbers here, we are just running our knees into our opposite elbow as fast as you can for 30 seconds. Now this is just like your traditional mountain climber, but we are reaching towards the opposite elbow instead of the same side. Here's a little modification here for you where you can just walk your knees in if you need a little less impact, and that's it. Alright guys, up next we have micro squat jumps, and we will be completing this exercise for a total of 60 seconds in 3, 2, and go. So looking at this movement, you can see that this is not a big movement. The name micro squat really means little bitty tiny squat movements here. So you can see that I'm staying nice and low in that squat position. I'm jumping my feet barely up off of the ground. Here's a little side view for you. The goal is to stay in that squatted position as long as possible. You are pushing the weight from your heels into your toes for just a little jump and then softly landing back in that squat position. The idea here is that you are keeping your body fully engaged, and you just want to keep your core nice and tight, keeping your legs, everything nice and flexed. And we will be completing this exercise for a full 60 seconds. We are almost to the end here, so go ahead and get your last few reps in, and we will finish this movement in about 5 seconds. And here's that was a little modification for you here, and rest. All right, you guys, we have reached our first 20-second break. Make sure you grab a quick sip of water. As you can see, this first round is very cardio intensive, so take full advantage of that rest, and we'll see you in the next round. All right, guys, next up we have leg inchworms, and we are completing this exercise for a total of 60 seconds. In 3. All right, as you can see here, I'm starting in a nice push-up position, and then I am just walking my legs as straight as possible in as close to my hands as I can get them. The idea here is to keep your legs as straight as you can. This really engages your hamstrings and the posterior part of your body. And it also helps engage those lower abdominals here so that you're really working the entire ab and midsection and not just those upper abs that we typically tend to work the most on. Now, if you have a hard time keeping your legs perfectly straight, having a little bend in your knee is okay. Just the act of trying to keep your legs straight will work the muscles that we are targeting here. And we are just going to complete this over and over again for 60 seconds. So if you need a little bit of a break, go ahead and take one. This will work your entire body. It's a very dynamic total body exercise. So you should be tired and out of breath as we approach the last 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. All right, you guys, next we are moving into a plank jack. So go ahead and start on the floor in a forearm plank position, and we'll jump in 3, 2, and go. So as you can see here, I'm in a nice forearm plank position. I am pushing my shoulders away from the floor, creating a little bit of a round in between my shoulder blades. And I am just completing this exercise for a total of 30 to 60 seconds. Now, if you need a modification with the jumping in and out of your legs, you can do a little modified version of this, tapping your toe one side and then to the other, and or just going into a nice forearm plank. Here's a real modified version here. We're in a full modified plank position, and then you can just jump back into the jumping jack as you need to. So the idea here is just to push yourself as much as you can, and go ahead and get your last few seconds in. We are taking a rest in 3, 2, and rest. All right, guys, up next will be 30 seconds of modified push-up. If you're feeling really strong today, you can certainly do these in a standard push-up format. We'll be starting these push-ups in 3, 2, and... So this is just a nice modified push-up. We are doing a modified push-up here because we are working so heavily on the arms moving out of that plank. But if you want to do a standard push-up, go ahead and push up into your toes now and crank those push-ups up. We are already approaching our last 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. All right, you guys, we have reached our second break of the series. Grab a quick sip of water, catch your breath, and we'll jump into the last series of the round. All right, you guys, next we are jumping into 60 seconds of leg throws or leg lifts and lowers if you're doing this by yourself. So if you want to jump down to the floor, we will start this exercise in 3, 2, and go. So right away, I'm starting on the ground here, and I am using a little bit of base support above my head to help keep myself grounded. Now, if you don't have anything like this and you're just doing this in the middle of the floor, that's okay. Just keep your core engaged. You don't want to hold too tightly onto your base support anyway, because that will take too much away from the actual ab exercise. And then you're just going to tick-tock those legs back and forth, switching directions at the top and the middle, and just lifting and lowering for a total of 60 seconds. Now, if you need a modification, I will show you a couple of those coming up here. The first one is placing your hands underneath your back here and continuing to tick-tock your legs back and forth. Your hands under your back will create a little bit of relief from that back tension, so it should make the exercise a little bit easier. You can also bend your knees a little bit if you need to. The idea is just to keep your legs moving for 3. All right, you guys, next we are jumping into a 90-degree crunch here, nice and easy, and we will be completing this exercise for a total of 30 seconds. So if you want to make your way down to the mat, we will get started in 3, 2, and go. Just a nice 90-degree angle crunch here, and you just send your legs out in front of you, a little bit of a bend in your knee. Try to keep your knees and your hips lined up for the most part if you can, and then a nice neutral, relaxed position with your neck. And then you're just lifting and lowering, really engaging and focusing on those lower abdominal and core muscles that we want to target, and make sure that you're not whipping your head too far or too fast back and forth. If you find you have stress in your neck, you can drop your knees down and put your feet on the floor for a little relief. And we're only moving for 30 seconds. We are resting here in 3, 2, and rest. All right, you guys, jumping into our last exercise, a crisscross sit-up. So go ahead and lay back on the mat, and you are going to bend your knees like I am here, and you are just sitting up and reaching to touch your opposite toe with your opposite hand. We will continue this movement for a full 60 seconds. So this is the last little burnout of that first round, and the idea here is just to keep your core nice and tight. This isn't the hardest exercise, and really engage those lower abdominals, get everything nice and warmed up so that when we move into our second and third rounds, everything is sit up just isn't your thing, or it's not happening today. You can just do a little crunch and reach towards your part of your body that you feel that you can successfully. So here's that little modification there just a little bit of a crunch. This does not take away from the movement in any way. If anything, some people prefer the crunch over the full sit-up. They get a little bit more of a burn that way, so you can kind of alternate back and forth. That's for you. Now we are approaching the last little bit of this exercise. Go ahead and get your last few reps in, and we will be approaching our first break of the entire round in 3, 2, and rest.